reason my recording stopped again. All right, we have a few people joining, so we're going to give everybody, I know people are coming in from out of work, so I'm pretty sure that there are people who are just now getting settled in. So we're going to give everybody a chance to settle down, get your tea. I already told y'all gonna need to come with pencil and paper. And so get your tea or your beverage, because we're about to get some knowledge dropped on our heads today. If this is your first time joining with Earthseed Detroit with Lottie Spady, you're in for a treat today. So if this will either jumpstart you to look into the world of herbalism, or you're probably going to level up and just continue, you really be excited about continue the knowledge that you're gaining. So happy to have you guys all here. Yay. Yay. So we're gonna give people a few minutes. And I am going to, oh, wait a second. There's Mr. Chris Jackson is in the house.
Hey, that's the picture I took of you, Chris.
I know, right?
On our 3D
Great picture. That's a good image.
That is a good image. I mean, he could have sent that to upload into the web page, but I'm not going to say nothing about it.
You know what? I was trying to, and then you came up with that real cool picture. I thought you were going to use that one.
Oh, no, it wasn't like, this one is much better. I'm going to go with this one. So if you can send this to me after it, I'll upload this one. So thank you, Mama Catherine, for a dope picture.
Yes. Love you.
Aw. All right, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining. We are going to give it, we'll give it a little bit more. I'm going to give it another maybe minute. Let's give it a solid minute, and then people will be able to join in and just try to jump in where they can. So we'll give it another good minute. Hopefully everybody, like I said, have your pen, your paper. Yeah, just light that incense. That's what I did. I got my incense lit, and I am so ready for this. And then I think we're going to be in a better position, but of course, technology, you know, you can only go with it. You know, sometimes it wants to go against you, but we should be okay. If we have any stalls or a little bit of buffering, just hang tight. It looks like everything is going well so far, so hopefully that'll continue throughout this, this virtual session. All right. Okay, I think I am going to get ready to kick it off, and I really want to just go ahead and get started because Lottie brings with her a lot of expertise, a lot of information. Again, if this is your first time, I think you are going to be in for a treat. Give me 1 second. I am going to actually go live. Let me make sure. Okay, so hopefully in that Facebook group that they're able to see it live. I still have people that's joining. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and kick it off. Share a little bit of information about our presenter today. I'm so excited. So Lottie Spady is a community educator, media maker, and practicing herbalist, and is the founder of Earthseed Detroit, an educational community health program that is focused on imagining and co-creating the Afro future of our health through love, wellness, respect, and deep joy. Earthseed Detroit centers social justice, community empowerment, health, local access, and affordability through medicinal plant identification, the creation of wellness supports such as tea blends, tinctures, elixirs, salves, foraging, and gardening. Although using herbs and natural approaches for her family's health and well-being for decades, she has been studying herbalism, agroecology, and permaculture more in depth for the past 6 years with a wide variety of educators and organizations such as Lang Lang Herbal Gathering in Costa Rica, Herb Feast Ireland, Michigan herbalist Jim McDonald, the Chestnut School of Herbal Medicine, and the Human Path School of Sustainable Medicine, Food, and Skills with Sam Kaufman. Sounds like she's got it all covered. So she brings with her 15-year background in Detroit activism, nonprofit management, program direction, and workshop facilitation, working specifically with children, teens, and adults to promote education and empower communities at the intersections of media justice, food justice, environmental justice, community health, and civic engagement. A founding member of Detroit Food Justice Task Force, she is also a founding member of the Detroit Digital Justice Coalition and a leadership committee of Survival Life, a core member of Healing by Choice, Healing Collective. Lottie currently teaches do-it-yourself community health classes in seasonal plant identification, herbal formulations and medicine making, wild edible cooking, herbs and tarot, and plants as spiritual allies. She blogs about it through Earthseed Detroit and creates healthy media on the Earthseed Detroit YouTube channel. So we'll give you information on how to follow Lottie after this, but I'm going to graciously let Lottie take it over. Welcome, Lottie, and welcome everybody.
Thank you so much, Adrienne. I am so happy to be here. Happy to be with all of you here on my porch. Got all everybody out here on the porch, and just really excited to be here. So what I'd like for us to do before we get started is to just take a moment to, let's take some deep breaths. If you're comfortable, you can close your eyes if you'd like to. We're gonna remember where we are and just take a moment for a land acknowledgement and just ground ourselves in this moment. We begin by acknowledging and uplifting the history of Detroit as Anishinaabe and other indigenous peoples' stolen land, the largest majority Black city in the nation, with a long legacy of African diasporic global contributions, which was once the last stop on the Underground Railroad, known by its code name, Midnight. Detroit is also the US city with the largest concentration of Arab Americans, a border city with historic and growing Latinx communities, and a legacy of Asian American communities and movements. So now I'm gonna ask if you want to acknowledge the land where you're from, maybe where you currently are, or where your people are, or where your ancestors were from. Drop them in the chat so we can take a look at all of the global wisdom that we have in this room right now. So if we just take a minute or so, if folks feel so inclined, I'm gonna add Moorhead, Mississippi. And if folks are inclined to drop their location or where their family's from, whatever they wanna put, if they're comfortable doing that.
Wonderful. Got somebody from Dearborn, Michigan. Hi, Sarah. Or family
Yeah.
from Dearborn, Michigan. Oh, Nigeria. Okay.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
Look at it. Look, I love when it populates like that.
Oh, look at that. Yeah.
While that's happening, I'm just gonna share a little something from, this is a book that this is a great reference. A lot of times folks ask for references for books. I'm gonna try to do a little bit of that through the talk, but right now I've been reading this one here, Working the Roots by Michelle E. Lee. And this one I like because I have a bunch of herbal books, and a lot of them have a list of herbs and what they're good for. They might have a section on ailments first and then what the herbs are. And some of them will have like where you can find them out in the wild, like what season, what have you. This one has some of that, but it also has oral histories. And the woman who wrote this it's been 20 years in the making. So I've been enjoying this book, and I just wanted to share this little bit about how I've been thinking about my own lineage and how I didn't have an elder, someone to teach me herbal medicine. You know, I didn't have a need to lean on, or although there were a few sort of family traditions or a mason jar in a refrigerator, but I didn't seem to have that until later in life. You could not have told me 10 years ago, I would have been like, this is my life. Plants are my life, you know? So anyway, I love the way she sums it up. It says that African-American traditional healing was a science that was passed down by word of mouth in families over the course of generations. Folks who practiced this medicine had a preventive philosophy to be strong and healthy as you can be so you won't get sick. Unfortunately, many folks abandoned this philosophy and the use of traditional healing during the Great Migration to the northern states. They often shed those old-timey ways, and they wanted more, quote unquote, sophistication and modernization. My children moved up north, and this is a phrase you often hear amongst traditional healers who remained in the South, and the chain was broken. A lot of folks in the South weren't interested either, and sometimes it wasn't passed down for 2, 3, or even 4 generations, because when our elders died, they took that knowledge with them. So I am feeling very grateful that for whatever reason, like ancestrally and spiritually, this desire has been rekindled within me. And all of you that are interested and that are practicing, it's a large responsibility, but it's truly a gift and a blessing to be traveling this road of remembering how plants were uniquely suited to our bodies, you know, plants being 30,000 years old. They just so happen to work. You can take an herb for your eye, or herb for your nose, or herb for your heart, or herb for your liver. Like, you know, that's like very, you know, cohesive design there, right? Divine design. So, so like I said, I didn't have that elder to teach me, so I'm lucky to be in company of you all and so many of the herbalists that I'm meeting on this path. Even though I've done a lot of I've done stuff, every time I do something, like take a class or go somewhere or meet somebody, it opens a whole nother, like, oh my God, I want to know that. I want to know that. I want to know that. So we are just going to do why we're here. This is why we're here. We're just going to do a brief overview of medicine making techniques. I'm really not going to go into detail about specific plants, although we might, you know, that may come up. But this is just sort of like, now that you got it, what do you do with it? You know, if you have been on a walk, or if someone said, oh, you know, that's good for this, dig those roots up and take them home. And, you know, what do you do next? So we don't have a lot of time. So I'm just gonna, you know, run through in sort of an herbal fashion show, if you will, who shows up to the party. And if anyone has questions along the way, you know, feel free to drop them in the chat. I am gonna try to save some time at the end for Q&A. Again, I get going, I like to talk. And so, and I want to touch on that too. Like, there's many ways of making medicine as there are herbalists, as there are individuals. There is no like one right way, you know. Some folks might try to tell you, you know, this is the way to do it, but it really ends up becoming an intuitive relationship with the plants. And they're just like friends, you know, the more you work with them, the more they're like, well, I don't want to do it that way this time. I want to do it this way. And you're like, okay, plantain, we'll do it this way. Or, you know, I feel like being a vinegar tonight. Like, I want to be a vinegar tonight. So, you know, you just begin to develop a relationship. But it can be daunting because there are a lot of herbs out there. There are a lot of, you know, lots of information. So I just want everyone to feel confident and comfortable that you can make plant-based medicines or wellness supports for your family. My grandson is learning how to make, he's 5, you know, I have him out there, you know, you know, he might pour the alcohol in the bottle, but you know, it's instilling him that this is like a regular thing. This is what we do. It's not being disconnected, you know. So much of our medical system now relies on us having this disconnect from our what is good for our bodies and what is good for ourselves. We don't even feel confident to say, I know what I need. We're like, oh, I better check with my doctor about, you know, what I need. And so it's a long-term relationship. Herbs don't want to be in a fling. They don't want to be a side chick. They don't want to be in a one-night stand. They really want to be in a long-term relationship. So, if there are no questions or anything, I'm going to just jump into a quick overview, like I said, of different ways to make medicine. I think one of the easiest things to start with is tea. And tea is underrated, I think. A lot of things that we're used to is what I have come to call like pleasure tea. We will put a tea bag in water for about 3 to 5 minutes. And then, you know, we drink our tea. And that's fine, but it's only going to bring forth the most immediate aspects of the plant. So when I make a medicinal tea, my rule of thumb is sort of like, it'll steep for at least half hour or an hour, most oftentimes overnight. And that way you get the deeper medicinal properties of the tea. And it's gonna usually taste a lot different than it did in that quick steep that you do. There are 2 different kinds of tea. One is an infusion. An infusion is just your quick, it's for the lightweight things where you take boiled water, pour it over your plant material and let it sit. And that's like for flowers, leaves, fruit, light plant matter. And then there's a decoction. And a decoction is usually done with roots, things that are heavier, and they simmer for 20 minutes or so. And then you can let them steep. The roots, they're heavier, they're thicker, they're made, they're more dense. And so it takes a bit more to ease the medicine up out of them. So you want to decoct your herbs, bark, seeds, things that are heavier like that.
Quick
so,
question.
Yep.
I'm sorry, do you mind me intervening? So Dante asked, what do you do when making herbal medicine with mushrooms? I'm not sure if you do mushrooms, but the question came up, what do you do when making herbal medicine with mushrooms?
So mushrooms are best decocted over very long cooking times, much longer than roots or bark, like hours on a low simmer. And let me clarify that I'm talking about mushrooms like chaga, reishi, lion's mane. I'm not talking about, I don't know enough about other forms of mushroom medicine, but those are the ones that I'm most familiar with, those that are typically used for like immune boosting or immune modulating. So mushrooms take a long decoction, but you can also get them in powdered form, and you can, you know, blend those right into your coffee or tea or something like that. Is that okay? Is that okay, Dante?
Yeah, hopefully you got that. Okay, thank you for the question, Dante. Thank you, Lottie. Sorry.
No problem. So yeah, and just quickly, I don't want to spend too much time on tea, but it's just like something to think about. Like that's the most ancient form of medicine. It can be very comforting. The ritual is healing in and of itself. A lot of, it's a holistic approach, like you're creating that ritual moment of caring for yourself. Hydration, unless the herbs that you're using are diuretic herbs, it's going to provide hydration. And water is a good way to bring out your minerals, your moistening agents. Like when I say a moistening agent, I'm talking about something like, okay, you know how okra has that slime effect? There are herbs that have that same quality that you would extract in cold water to bring out that quality. And why would you want that slime factor? Well, it doesn't taste slimy when you mix it in a tea. It's soothing. It's very moistening to the tissues. So what you want to keep in mind is if you're making a tea with something like, so goldenrod is a very drying herb. It's like to dry up your, runny nose. It can be too drying though. You might start to, if you take something that's too drying and it irritates you, like your sinuses, or it could make you feel like a dry cough. So you want to have something moistening in there, So that's when you would add something like a marshmallow root or slippery elm or plantain. There are quite a few, just to say, that have that moistening agent. So that is some of the things that water, just water. The last thing I'll say is this has been a great lifesaver in getting herbal tea into my life, like a French press, because you can put your tea in here and then you just plunge it and it's ready, instead of fooling around with them little tea balls. Again, a tea ball is great, but you're going to want a big one because that little one is probably not going to give you, the strength that you want for a medicinal tea. So it's just a thought, Okay. So let's see, the next thing I'll talk about are tinctures. Tinctures, again, can go a long way in tinctures. But tinctures are basically extractions made with alcohol. And it's a common way to take medicine because it's concentrated and, you can get a lot of bang for your buck. Usually take it by the drop or the dropper full or half dropper full. So, it goes a long way. It can be pretty affordable. It is really good for bringing out all the, let me see, I just want to make sure I don't miss any here. Okay, resins, like your sticky stuff, like if you were going to do something with pine or something that has a lot of stickiness to it. Alcohol is good for breaking down that resin. Water won't do that. Vinegar won't do that. So there's a lot of things that you can use alcohol for. So, yes.
One of the questions actually that was a follow-up to the mushrooms. I'll ask it now since you mentioned about the alcohol. The question was for the mushrooms, and I know again it may vary on the type of mushrooms, but would you use alcohol or water for those?
Okay, so you could do either. You could do either with mushrooms. You can do an alcohol, and I have not done an alcohol tincture with alcohol. An alcohol tincture with mushrooms. If you wanted to look up more information on a mushroom tincture, you would look up something called multifractional extractions, which means, usually that means you're doing a two-part thing, right? Like you put your mushrooms in water, you extract what the water will take out of them, you take the mushrooms out of the water, you put them in alcohol and let the alcohol take what it's going to take out of the mushrooms, and then you blend them together. So mushrooms are a whole thing unto themselves, and I'm not as well versed in mushroom tinctures really. So
That's a whole,
but that might be helpful. It's a whole nother, mushrooms are a whole nother thing altogether, right?
It seems like it.
Yeah. So in making your alcohol tinctures, basically all you're doing is, this is a horsetail tincture that I made. This is basically, was fresh. What is this? Okay, fresh horsetail. And it says it was in 75% alcohol, which for me means Everclear. And I put the date on here that I made it so that I'll know when it's going to be ready. And this is just the whole plant. You could put the whole plant in here, rinse it off, and put it in here. But another thing to keep in mind when making an alcohol tincture is sometimes folks choose, this is another alcohol tincture, and some folks choose to put the plant matter in the blender. So, or you could chop it up really fine. So some tinctures, depending on their qualities, might work better in a blender. So this is called milky oats. And can you see that it's like two different colors?
Definitely,
Okay.
yes.
So that is because this particular herb, when its goodness comes from in the spring, it has a milky substance in the top. This is the same thing that oatmeal comes from. This is oats. This is oats, like oatmeal. And the tops in the spring have a milky substance in them. And it's a really good nerve tonic. Like, it's good for stress. It's good for repairing the nervous system. And the only way you can really get it out of those little tops is to blend it in the blender. And you'll end up with a creamy tincture like that, you know? So either way is fine. Whole plant, chopped up plant, dried plant, or fresh plant. You would just take some time to choose which alcohol or how you wanted to do it. So, oh, I left the main one in the house. That's okay. So like I said, this was made with Everclear. I left my Everclear in the house. What I wanted to show you was when thinking about making an alcohol tincture. Again, I know I'm just touching the surface. I know the bar is open. The herbalist life. Yeah, I'm here, right? So I know I'm just touching on things, but I just wanted to point out a few different things. One rule of thumb when making a tincture is you want it to be shelf stable. You don't want your tincture to go bad or to mold or to get any kind of microbes or bacteria in it. And so a tincture has to be at least 30% alcohol in order to be shelf stable. So that is why you take a little time. Now you could do everything in Everclear. Everclear is 75% alcohol. But do you need to do everything in Everclear? You know, you could stretch Everclear by learning how to dilute it down to, like, if a certain herb only needs 30%, you could dilute it and then you stretch your Everclear, right? Some people use Everclear for everything. I tend to use it a lot because it's, you know, easy. I don't want to do math sometimes. But just thinking, just giving you some examples here. This is VSOP brandy. And as you can see, it is 40% alcohol or 80 proof. It's always double the number. The proof is always double the percentage. So this is 40% alcohol. And I love to use brandy for like elderberry, like roses, and because you want some medicine that tastes good too. So you kind of want to think about your formulation. You know what I mean? So brandy is really nice. You just wouldn't want to use that for things that require something over 40%. And then like this is Southern Comfort, which I didn't realize. We talk highly about Southern Comfort. I didn't realize Southern Comfort is like only 35% alcohol. I mean, that's all right, 70 proof, but that's not really that strong. But I love, you know, it's like you think of Southern Comfort whiskey, there's only 70% alcohol. So by being only 35%, 35% alcohol, you don't want to use this probably for fresh plants because fresh plants have water in them. They're going to add water to the mix and they might mess up your 30% ratio, right? This is really for like, I do dandelion root and dandelion leaf and make a great dandelion detox because the whiskey is just a great flavor. Add some lemon peel in there, some orange peels. It's really good. It's really healthy. The other one I'll show you, I like to work with, so you can get like overproof. Like this is 100 proof. So this is a spiced rum, 100 proof. You know, there's, you can get 100 proof vodka. So that's a good sort of middle ground. Everclear is not available everywhere. So you can always find, well, you can always, but a good next step would be a overproof vodka, like 100 proof vodka. I use vodka a lot. I used to use it a lot. Now I just usually use Everclear. And then they don't make 151 rum anymore, I don't think, or I haven't been able to find it. But this one is like, what is this? 69% alcohol. So it's up there. I use this to make my golden hooch, which is rum, ginger, cinnamon, cloves, turmeric, rum, ginger, cinnamon, cloves, turmeric, and raw honey. So that's just to give you an idea, like what you're looking for, to keep in mind what the plant material is you're working with, and the minimal amount, like how are you going to use it to make it shelf stable, and then the flavor that you want, you know. So you could, some people experiment with tequila. I'm sure you could experiment with gin, but gin has a flavor of its own that everyone doesn't like. You know, you might find a particular blend that you like, you know, like Dajana was like, no. You could do something like, you know, where you capitalize on the flavor of the gin, right? So say you wanted to do dried juniper berries, spruce, like say you wanted to do something that was like a respiratory, that, you know, where you capitalized on that juniper flavor. You know, people like hating on gin. Why you, everybody's like, ugh.
Never seen anything good come from people drinking gin. I'm just saying. But question, someone asked Sophia, hopefully I said that correctly. She's having a hard time finding Everclear. Have you ran into that issue as well, Lottie?
So when I was in Detroit, I got it from, there was a place on Livernois, like Trade Winds. There was a place in Ferndale, the liquor store on the corner of 9 Mile in Livernois, that had Everclear. And I find it's more in your well-stocked, like the big, like something that calls itself like a wine shop, or, you know, something like that. That was where I was finding it. Like out here in Clarkston, there's like, well, first of all, there ain't hardly liquor stores, you know, but there's one big one and he orders it for me. Now, any store you go to, you should ask them if they can get it, because 9 times out of 10, if they can get it, they will order it for you. And I get it by the half-gallon size. So always just ask and see, and hopefully, and maybe they can order it for you.
Oh, great advice. Thank you.
Let's see here. Like I said, time is flying by. I'm already skipping stuff. All you need to make a tincture is the herb that you want to use, a clean mason jar, label it. Let me just take a moment to say, label it, because at the end of the day, you'll make this awesome stuff, and if you strain it all, guess what? It all turns the same green, brown color. And I don't care how excited you were over it when you made it, when you got 1,300 mason jars sitting on your counter, you'll be like, what is it? And then you have to taste them all, and then that doesn't really go good sometimes. So label it. I'm saying this for me too, because I know if you're my friend on Facebook, every couple of weeks there's a post me talking about label it. I don't know what this is. Label it. I'm getting better though, getting a lot better. You know what I did? Look, just, you know, pro tip. I just got real simple about it. I keep in my kitchen drawer, I just keep a roll of masking tape and a Sharpie marker, so that when I get it done, I don't care if it doesn't say anything, but just look, Monarda honey. at least I know what it is. Or, you know, horseradish root. I can, there is no excuse, right? I can just pull it off and put it on there. So just, and you know, I can get cute later on and, you know, but it's just really a lifesaver to not have to go back and try to play, what's that herb, with all these jars of stuff. Are there any questions or anything? I don't want to, I know I'm sailing along here.
There was a question. Natrisa says, can you please share your recipe for golden hooch? I don't know if you want to do that near the end or if you want to go ahead and talk about.
Well, I can give it right now. Yeah, it's just, I used to use 151. I always use an overproof rum. That's just what I like. Chopped fresh ginger, chopped fresh turmeric. And I kind of do the jar like 3/4 full of that mixture of fresh chopped ginger and turmeric. And then I add about a tablespoon or 2 of cloves and maybe about 4 or 5 cinnamon sticks. And then I cover it with, I pour it in a big mason jar. This is not golden hooch. This is just an example. I use big mason jars. When you start making herbalism, you're going to find that your jars get bigger and start getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. I will fill it up with rum, let it sit. I like to let stuff sit 4 to 6 weeks. If somebody needs something, I will skim a little off the top, maybe as early as 2 to 3 weeks. But I do like 4 to 6 weeks on most tinctures. So then I'll strain it. I have the stuff to show you how to strain it, but you know how to strain it. And then when whatever space is left, when you strain out all of your turmeric, your ginger and all that, fill it with raw honey. As much raw honey as you want. So it'll be pleasant. It's very warming. It's a great cold and flu remedy. It's warming, especially when you have the chills or something like that.
Yeah, great. I live, you understand, like when I'm down by one, I have 1 full bottle, it means it's time for me to reorder from Earthseed Detroit. I'll go and get a couple more bottles. I do live by that golden hooch. My kids even swear by it. So question, what is the shelf life? Nisharan says, what is the shelf life of tinctures? And we got a few
Great question. That's awesome, because that's what's another thing, a benefit of doing alcohol-based extractions, because they last indefinitely, just like alcohol does. I mean, if there were an instance where the only thing you want to be sure of is like, you want to be sure you don't want any plant material being above the level of the alcohol, because it would then be exposed to air. But as far as if this were just like this, it would last definitely. I usually don't strain my tinctures until I'm ready to start using them. And then I don't pour up all the tiny little bottles until people order them. So I, you know, keep them in this big jar. But yeah, they'll last forever. I mean, I won't say forever. I'll just say, I don't know. It's saying, yeah, they'll last indefinitely.
Okay, good. And that's good knowing that we're approaching, and I have a few questions near the end of it, but knowing that we're approaching supposedly, or what they're saying is the second wave or the real wave of the COVID situation. Like medicines only last for so long when you get them from the stores and the pharmacy, you know, so having something like this in your arsenal is definitely key. So the more we can learn how to make this, the better. And that's one thing I have to tell everybody. What I really, really admire and what I really appreciate by you, Lottie, is that you don't learn this stuff and keep it to yourself. Like, you're really about, hey, you guys can make this too. So at the end of this, I'm going to be sure to share Lottie's channel, because you may find some videos. She does tons of blogs and has a lot of videos on how to do it yourself. So we'll make sure that's available at the end. Lottie, I did have a question. Janice asked, just to be sure, how much honey for that golden hooch again?
Yeah, so it's really to taste, like you want it to be pleasant, but once you strain out your turmeric and your ginger, if it was full, it's probably gonna drop down, you know, it'll drop down to about maybe this much here of just herb infused rum. And then you could fill it with raw honey, but do it to taste. You know, you might not want it that sweet, or some folks like it to be almost like syrupy, you know. And honey also is shelf-stable. Honey doesn't go bad either. So, you know, you can play around with the levels of honey to alcohol and get it exactly like you like it.
Awesome. We have two questions following up. We are loving this golden hooch. So one is, can you remind us what the benefits are? And then someone, Sophia says, I need that recipe. So can we get the golden hooch recipe after this?
Okay, sure, no problem. Some of the benefits. So it's an anti-inflammatory, because ginger and turmeric are both anti-inflammatory. So I've had folks use it for inflammation, to relieve inflammation, to relieve like achiness in the body, because like I said, ginger is like a warming herb. So it's good for your circulatory system, things that get the circulation moving. I mean, that's basically what makes our immune system work, is proper good circulation, like move the trash out, get the good stuff in, you know. So there's also the cloves, which cloves and cinnamon, which are both aromatics, which are going to be good for your respiratory system, good for stuffy conditions like lots of mucus or congestion in the chest, or nasal congestion, what have you. And of course, raw honey is a good cough suppressant. It has its own antimicrobial, antibacterial properties too. And like I said, I really like golden hooch in those times when you feel like, you know how you feel when it's coming on you, when you feel like it's coming on you, you know, it's like, oh, this feels like something, you know, it's just so warming. It's really good in tea, to add it to your tea, you know, add it to your cocktails, you know, get herbs in your life.
How much would you add to a tea or to a cocktail?
A dropper full.
Okay.
Yeah, a regular dose. Yep.
All right, great. Thank you, Lottie. I'm going now. The questions are like really fueling. So it's up to you. Do you want to continue a little bit, or you want to answer some of the questions that they may address what you're talking about?
I would like to answer questions so that it's more interactive. And I can always touch on, like I said, I have a table full of stuff here. So, you know, I'd rather get folks information out to them, what they want to know.
Okay, great. So I know there's a couple of questions, so I'm trying to keep it to the golden hooch for now. And then there was a question before that. So somebody asked, so should we strain the herbs, Keela, or I think it's Keela, should we strain the herbs out too, or keep them in?
In general?
I'm thinking in general.
Okay, so in general, like this horsetail was from last season. It was from, matter of fact, July 29th, 2019, almost 1 year old exactly. And I have left the horsetail in it. I tend to leave in all my stuff until I'm about to use it. So what that means, if I have a full horsetail like this, that means I already have one in play. Like I already have one that's been strained, and that's sort of my, you know, the pouring from. And I keep the plants in until the last minute, and I strain them when I'm ready to use them for a tincture, for a order.
All right. Good. Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Let's see. There was a question. Tasha, I want to go back to Tasha's question. So a while back, Tasha asked, the name of the process, what is the name? I think she's asking, what is the name of the process where you use both water and alcohol to draw out an herb's property?
I think and it may be this particular herbalist use this term. I don't know if it's like a catch phrase, but multi-fractional extractions. A multi-fractional extraction.
All right, so
I
that's
mean, and you could probably look up more on that. The important thing is that you already have the concept. Like what you just said is the thing you need to know most. There's certain things that come out best in water. There's certain things that come out best in alcohol. And you can do that to the herb and you can then combine it. You know what I mean? So, but I think multi-fractional extraction may be like the name of that.
the universal name for the process.
Because
I know they keep changing. I'm pretty sure in the herb world, there's like trying to keep up with some of the terminology. Some of it is just there, but I'm pretty sure some new terminology tends to come out after time. I really like this question, Lottie, because this lets us get to know a little bit more about you and Earthseed Detroit. So Jelani asked, what has been the biggest challenge or roadblock connecting people to Earthseed's mission and message? That's a big one.
that is a big one. That's a oh, that could go in so many directions. You know what I mean? Like, I think what I'm gonna put it like this. I think since this pandemic and the shift in world consciousness and my own consciousness has made me prioritize my herbal business and education and teaching. Whereas before I kept trying to like do all these other jobs at the same time. And I would almost like, I would rather be doing just herbalism, but you know, it just seemed like that wasn't sustainable. That's not a real job. Like you can't just do that. You know what I mean? And so I had to prioritize it and really get still with myself in spirit and understand that this is what I'm here to do and to let the rest figure itself out. As far as connecting with people, I guess what I'll say is it was disappointing and alarming when the pandemic got started at how we've been conditioned to think about medicine. Elderberry has become the new, like, I mean, you know, I'm happy that elderberry is entering the mainstream, but what happens when a thing enters the mainstream was pretty alarming. Like, we couldn't order elderberry online. It's $23 a pound normally. It was $46 a pound on Amazon. You know, people started hoarding it just like like toilet paper. People were ordering up stuff and reselling it, or they're asking like the planet to produce in a capitalistic kind of way, right? Like, we want this, we want it now. It's like, that is not how herbalism works. So the challenge that I found during this time, like I said to someone else, like, now is a great time to know a herbalist, but it may not be a good time to become one, because the container that we're working in is like overlaying this lack mentality and fear. I mean, I understand it. People are afraid. So they'll go to, like, you know, CVS or whatever and see elderberry syrup and buy 5 of them. I mean, like I said, it's good that herbal medicine is entering the mainstream, but we have to be conscious of the mindset that typically goes along with mainstream ideologies, right? It's not as holistic. It quickly becomes, you know, they're trying to quickly make it inaccessible. I mean, if they could trademark plantain, you know they would. You know what I mean? Like, and not have it in the public sphere when there's a rush to learn stuff. You know, it's a lifelong It's a relationship. You don't know, do you know everything about the person you meet? Like, oh, I met him earlier and you know what? I know him. Like, no, it was a lifelong unfolding of that, you know, the constituents, the nuances and everything. You can't get it all from you use this for this and this for this and you use this for this and world peace, coconut oil. You know what I mean? It's like make a meme about it and there we go. We good. So that's been challenging to unlearn, like to be in situations where you have to sort of gently challenge, you have to gently challenge folks to maybe think about this in a broader way, in a more holistic kind of way. So, so that's been challenging. Thank you. It was a great question. I still am thinking about it. I don't know that I answered it fully, but
It might be a lifelong, like an answer.
it's a lifelong question with a lifelong answer.
It is, but we have some great questions in here, so I want to make sure that I get to everyone's. So great question, Jelani. Thank you. Juana says, and I'm curious about this myself, what are some herbs that are easy to grow indoors? And then she follows up with, what are some resources to learn how to grow herbs?
Okay, so that's a really good question. I think for indoors, now, like I am just now greening my thumb here, okay? Let me just be honest. Lottie has lost a lot of herbs on the windowsill. But let's see, basil, like your culinary herbs, like basil, thyme, rosemary. You could definitely grow those on the windowsill. What else? What else would be good? I mean, there's so many good sage you could probably grow in the kitchen, on the kitchen. I mean, if you have a good sunny window and if you can get them started, see, the thing is to not try to do start seeds on the windowsill. But if you can get a good plant and bring it on home, like somebody just said, lemon balm, yes. Mint is an easy, friendly herb. And you know what, I'm gonna say try everything. Try it. And why not? If it works, it works. If not, you could maybe relocate it to your porch, to a planter in your backyard. Once they kind of get situated, especially if it's a quote unquote weed, you ain't got to do much. Like some of these, you're doing more to have it in the house than to just let it be outside. It's like, I got to do all this work to make you grow in the house. I could just throw you out the window and you take over my whole yard. So, yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. So I'm just looking at, I love it. Sophia says, where can I take classes? I'm in Chicago. I'm with you, Sophia. I would love for Lottie, for Earthseed Detroit to roll out a 4-week or whatever course for, especially as we start gearing up for flu season. Think about it, Lottie.
I am. I have decided, like I said, I got still with myself. I got some more figuring out of stuff to do. But I am going to say this here so you all will have heard it first, because I'm excited to do this. But I think it would be so fun to have a worldwide, or as big as we can get it, fire cider build. We could all buy our ingredients. I can send out the list of ingredients, and you can be challenged or excited to bring your own. Like, I'm going to add cranberries, I'm going to add oranges. And then we could all get online and do our fire cider build together and have some music going. And it'd just be so cool, I think, to be like 500 people got together and then we can talk about, fire cider. And I am such a let me show you this. So I'm talking about fire cider. This is my fire cider spice blend. Somebody on Facebook, I hate that I don't remember who, more than one person, said dehydrate your fire cider leftovers in the dehydrator, and then I put them in the coffee grinder and made a spice blend.
Really? So you sprinkle that on food?
I use it to season up chili and stir fry, and
Oh,
And I made a barbecue sauce with, girl, I was like, okay, this is zero waste at its finest, right? Because it's got vinegar, lemons, garlic, ginger, all the stuff from fire cider in it. Look, do this. I was so excited by that. But back to I'm sorry, I got sidetracked. I think either in September, I do want to do the fire cider thing in September. I'm thinking of a course, an extended course, and either for fall or at the very latest, like 2021. But definitely have decided, because I was fussing at a friend of mine about this very thing. I was like, we always get in the middle. We never get to go deep. We never get to go deep. I'm always on the surface level. We're going to go. I said, wait, that ain't nobody's fault but mine. I should have the, we can go deep. So yes. Look out for fall. Like I said, 2021 at the latest, but take advantage of the Zoom life we in and just start to share knowledge. So yes, for sure. Thank you.
Would love that. So for people who, I don't know if you follow her YouTube or if you follow the page, Earthseed Detroit, you'll see where right around, I think it was October, we did a fire cider making. So Lottie invited all of us out to the homestead, not the homestead, just the homestead. And we went out there and she had us make our own fire cider. So that was awesome. I immediately started taking mine once I made it. Well, not immediately, I let it set for a while. And then I started to use it and wanting to incorporate it in more things. So I'm with you, Sophia. I would love to attend and just be a part of some workshops with Lottie. I do have a question from Dante. And I know we're supposed to be till 7 and it's 6:58. So Lottie, if you have to at any time, if you say, hey, I got 10 more minutes or 5 more minutes, just let me know. But Dante has a great question because I think we're all ready to sit down with some books and follow people to really learn a lot more. So Dante asks, are there any more books that you recommend in herbal medicine? Or are there people that you follow to learn from? And he says, such as yourself. Are there other people you recommend?
That you people you follow because book wise there are a lot of great books. Aren't as many written by people of color or from indigenous points of view that there should be, so the offering tends to be more European, more Western herbalism. Not to say that they're not out there, but just a few, like this little beat up book, man. If you're a beginner, and if you're interested, like I found this book in a thrift store and I was like, oh, how cute, 20,000 Secrets of Tea. What is this going to be? And then I looked at it and it's like, the values, stimulant, antispasmodic, diaphoretic, nervine, antiseptic. And I was like, oh, okay, Victoria's that. So.
Oh, it's breaking up a little bit, but we'll give you a second, Lottie. It seems like now it's wanting to. Oh, okay. So I kind of figured this would happen. So let's give her a second, everybody, to join back in. I'm glad it waited. Yeah, Juana, I'm not able to see her either. She was breaking up. So we'll give her a second. I think this happened in a previous one. She'll jump back in. I'm just going through to make sure I haven't missed any questions. So while she's joining back in the group chat, who here is just let us know where you are with your journey with herbalism and using herbs for medicine. Are you at the very beginning? Are you novice? Are you, hey, I'm intermediate. I know some things, but I'm still learning. All right, Jelani says, just starting. I am too. One of the things I asked Lottie when I just was in awe with her, one is because she brings the knowledge, but the other thing you might not be able to feel it over the Zoom, but for a lot of us, I think we know her personally. there's a real genuine like love that comes from what she does. And that immediately, like I said, she's not the type that is like, oh, I'm going to make this and sell it, but I'm not going to teach you how to make it. She's all about empowering, like, Adrian, you know, you can make this yourself too. Here go the recipe. Like, you need to learn how to do this. And I just think that's so wonderful. I know she works with youth all the way up. But one of the questions I asked Lottie was, okay, it feels overwhelming, right? Where do I even start? Like, there's a million different, you know, plants and herbs and different ways to prepare them. So where do I start? And one thing that she told me that was like really good advice was start where you are, like start where something is ailing you, or start where your concern is. So for me, my daughter was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, which is a irritable bowel disease. And so that was, for me, prompted me to like really, okay, that's a big need. I want my daughter to be healthy and well. Let me admit Lottie is back here again. So just, or if it's acne, or if it's, hey, I think I need to detox, or whatever the reason is for you wanting to learn herbalism, her advice was so helpful in what's something that you want to fix, or, and start there. And then from you start there, then you're going to be led to all the other things. It's going to reveal itself. So it looks like we have, Jelani says, just starting. Nisharan says, just starting. Aaron, I love using herbs, but get overwhelmed by everything there is to learn. I completely agree with you on that one. It is a lot to learn, Aaron. But you know what? I like breaking it down by the way Lottie does it is, here's a plant. Let's just focus on everything good about this plant. I can't tell you how many times from doing foraging walks. Lottie does a lot of foraging walks in Detroit. We've done it in Idlewild, which is a historic Black resort from back in the day. But going on those walks, and once she picks out a plant, we smell it, look at it, sometimes even taste it, like it, you start to commit it to memory. So it's a lot, but just taking one plant at a time has always been great advice for her. Okay, let me see. Let me make sure I get her back in the, give me 1 second here. I want to make sure I've got to, okay, let me pin Lottie again. Lottie, you're back.
I'm back. I'm sorry. I blew up my Wi-Fi talking too much.
They trying to stop the knowledge, but you're back. So I was just asking, trying to get a feel for where everybody was in their in their herbalism journey. And some people says just starting. Aaron, I resonate with this one. She said, I love using herbs, but I get so overwhelmed by everything there is to learn. Kalia says, I've been wanting to start my journey for a long time. Finally beginning my journey this year. Awesome. Keela, I'm sorry, I think I said Kalia. Keela. Tasha's just starting as well. Linda's intermediate. Chris has been on it for 30 years. And Sophia, yes. I'm still a beginner, but I've just started making things. That's the big part, is actually doing the making, going from the reading to the applying. So that's great. And Juana says she's been using herbs for years. She wants to learn how to grow them, dry them, make her own tinctures. So the whole process. Yeah. So love it. Natrista says intermediate. All right. And Dante he's been making tinctures from reishi mushrooms and with berries and herbal medicine, beginner and years of herbal knowledge. Awesome. Love it. There is a question to come off the tinctures. Tasha asked, any tips for creating salves and ointments?
So I'm gonna have to just, I'll say briefly, for real, briefly, because I was going to go over oils next, because that's the base for your salves and your ointments are your infused oils. So just to keep it brief, you want to be sure that you're starting with dried plant material, even if you just let it wilt for a couple of days, like if you're making a St. John's wort oil, and you want the benefits of the flower, like you don't want it to like dry all the way out into a little crumb, but you don't want any water introduced into your oil. So you want to let them at least wilt for a couple of days. And then you can put them in your oil in a variety of ways. You can use olive oil. This is a dream oil I did that it's half coconut oil, half olive oil. This is a calendula oil that I made, which I love this example because if you know how calendula looks, whenever you make oils, especially, I'm always like, is it in there? Is it really in there? Is that herb in there? Is it in there? But then when I did calendula infused coconut oil, I was like, oh, look, it's in there. It's so yellow. You know, it's not white like the coconut oil. So you can use coconut oil. Anything that's really good for the skin. And so like for your salves and ointments, again, what do you want them for? Do you want it to stay on the surface of your skin? Like something like for first aid, like for a scratch or a bruise. Well, bruise is like soaking in a little bit. Do you want it to soak in a little bit? Do you want to, if you do, you want to add something like eucalyptus, maybe a little eucalyptus oil or something that's going to open your pores up so that it soaks in. If you're making it for like joint pain or muscle pain, then you want the kind of oil that's going to soak into your skin quickly. You don't want it to stay on the surface. So those are just some of the considerations. You know, what is the absorption of the oil? What do you want it for? And then as far as making them into salves, I mean, I use shea butter, cocoa butter, coconut oil. You know, you want a thickener, again, depending on your overall need. I usually like to use the shea butter or something. And like I said, we don't have time, unfortunately, to really go deep into it. You can infuse your oils in a crock pot. You can do them cold, like just sitting on the counter for a few months, in the oven. All kinds of ways to infuse your oils and then blend them with beeswax. Do you have a specific question regarding the salves and ointments? Because like I said, that would I knew I had too much stuff to talk about, but oh.
It's hard to pare this down into one hour long session. There is so much to learn, which is, I think that's why people are also asking about future classes that we can enroll in and learn with you. Because Mama Catherine had a great question about how about doing a class or series on herbalism for women's health and women's health challenges, perhaps organized by phase of life from starting menses to postmenopause. So yeah, that would be very beneficial. And
I think so. Thank you for that. So that would be really, thank you. I would love to do that. Yes.
I think that would be wonderful. So, and I know it's already 7:10. Again, like I think some of us on this call is like, we could go all day with this. What we might have to do is figure out, Lottie, when you have time or when you're going to be doing some upcoming classes. And Dante says, hey, one for men too. That's right.
Right. You're right.
Yes, Dante, one for men too. You are so right. We all need it, right? So I don't want to hold up too much longer because honestly, I could stay on for another 30 minutes. But one thing I'm going to highly suggest is, again, please go to Earthseed Detroit on YouTube. And I posed a question in the group chat. I asked, did anybody know where Earthseed came from?
Oh.
That's a whole nother session.
Who won?
Does anybody know where Lottie got the name Earthseed?
Oh, Tefira, you cheating. You
Bye, Tefira.
Yeah, you're supposed to give folks a chance.
It is. I'll post this then. Has anybody read Octavia Butler's Parable of the Sower? Because that book, yes, Juana says yes. Okay, yes. When Lottie had that name, she said, go read the book. And I read the book before I asked any other questions. And oh my goodness, it just made so much sense. So honestly, I would say the first place to go to is follow her on Facebook, the Earthseed Detroit Facebook page, right? Is that okay, page? Also Earthseed Detroit. And again, after this, I'm going to send out this recording. Hopefully we can be able to post it to Black to the Land Coalition's website so you can view it anytime. But you can go to YouTube. There is a ton. Like I sit back, I do my coffee or my tea in the morning, and I'll just get in my Earthseed. I'll try to catch up to the videos. So much good information. Such a great place to start. If you have questions, further questions for like resources or books, you know, go to the Facebook page, and Lottie's very interactive there. So you can certainly do that. So Tasha says the name of the book is Parable of the Sower. Parable of the Sower. And oh, Juana got a good quote for us from the Parable of the Sower. She says one of her favorite quotes is, "The destiny of Earthseed, ready, Lottie, is to take root among the stars."
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I might have to. Y'all, that book changed. Look, that changed my life. I didn't even know. Let me just tell you how the universe works. And then we getting off of here for real. I suffered a really bad back injury. I had a bulging disc in the back of my neck that I could have been paralyzed just by tripping over a curb. I didn't even know. And I had to have surgery, and I was off work for, you know, about, I don't know, a month, 2 months. And I started the blog. I read the book, and I started the blog Earthseed Detroit. And it was just my story of becoming, you know, an urban farm girl. It was me trying to figure out what the heck a dryer ball was, you know, and how to get this junk mail from coming in my mailbox. And I was working for an environmental organization. So I was like, oh, this will be like chronicling my, you know, environmental consciousness growing. I had no idea it was going to turn into what it is now. I named the business and named my trajectory Earthseed Detroit before I was even doing herbalism, before I was even doing any of the stuff. It was like, you need, and when the stars aligned and I was able to pursue herbalism and started through the road of food justice, through the road of media justice, then teaming up with, you know, survivalists and preppers. It was just like, it's Earthseed Detroit is happening. It's like, it's happening. So it just was destiny. Like, I love that quote, the destiny of Earthseed is to take root among the stars. That's, thank you so much for sharing that. That is like, yeah, that's it. That's it.
I love it. That's definitely a great book to cuddle up with. Again, yes, survivalism, everything that we're doing right now is to survive. And not only to survive, like getting all this knowledge, it's going to help us thrive. Like we don't just want to be in the day to day. We're trying to thrive in the midst of, it's tough, you guys. And there's a big chance that it's going to get tougher. So getting this knowledge, sharing this knowledge, skill sharing is really huge. Black to the Land, and again, like Lottie is one of the co-founders of Survival Life, which is my group. And so we're always big on skill sharing. If you learn something, it is your duty, you know, to teach others. So that's just so important. So again, I'm going to share this out with everybody. Sorry, my kitties is getting loud in the background. I'm going to share all this information out with everyone. Please, again, if you follow her page, you'll see different Lottie's. I mean, she's always getting called upon for foraging walks and herbalist classes. So definitely follow her on Facebook. If there's any questions that didn't get answered here, I'm sorry, I tried to go through all of them, but we're over time. Just send them to her. And thank you so much for joining, you guys. Thank you, Dante. Thank you, Juana, Sophia, everybody who was on this call. We really appreciate those great questions. I know there's so much more to learn. Lottie, do you want to close out with anything before we say farewell?
Yes, I do just want to thank each and every one of you for taking out of your precious, precious personal time to be on yet another Zoom. Hopefully, hopefully it wasn't as bad as some of the ones that you've had to be on. But I just appreciate you all so much. And I can't wait until we're back in the real world and you all are all out here running around, picking stuff and making stuff and eating stuff. And I do want to shout out one book because I got mentioned in it. And this book just came out, is written by a woman by the name of Rosalie de la Forêt. She's a herbalist. It's a beautifully designed, like, cookbook-ish type herbal book. I mean, I like it a lot. And there is a little blurb on Earthseed Detroit because she has like community profiles of community herbalists. So this is the first time I got mentioned in a book. Not the first time, but Earthseed Detroit's little baby moment here. So I'm gonna shamelessly plug it.
Please do. Thank you, Lottie. So maybe we can go into, maybe you can do a post on just your fave books for for this. That would be awesome.
That's a good assignment. I love it.
I love it. And for our assignment, I say we all go back and we take time to learn one plant, even if it's just one plant. And then maybe if you have questions, let's try to prepare it. So the next time we see Lottie, we can say, hey, I was able to make a tincture, or hey, I was able to make a salve, or hey, I was like, so let's do that. That's going to be our homework. Until then,
tag me in them if you post them on your Facebook or your Instagram, tag me in it. I love to see the little pictures of stuff like I made my stuff. So I love to see that. So thank you again, everyone.
All right. Thank you guys. Peace. Have a great day. Thank you for joining. Look forward to seeing you guys. We have more Black to the Land events coming up, virtual events. So please be sure to check the Facebook page. Black to the Land Detroit is Facebook, or the Black to the Land Coalition page. Additionally, go to the website, www.blacktothelandcoalition.com, and all the events are there. Peace out. Love y'all. Thank you, Lottie.
Peace.
Appreciate you. Bye, guys.
Bye.